I'm Salvatore Marotta, and I'm the director of Matched. Matched was one of many screenplays that I wrote since around 2015. I started writing screenplays. And when COVID hit, our marketing and advertising business really didn't have a lot to do. The whole country got shut down. I said, let's make one of these movies. I was looking for the lead character, Kelly. So I said to myself, if I find this actress, if I find the person who could pull off this character, we're going to make this film. Basically, it's something we could shoot locally, and it's something economic enough for me to be able to pull off. I put an ad on Backstage, and I made this really cool video about each character. I told the story of the film. I was very descriptive about what happens and what each character's role would be like. And I think that really helped, because when they saw the ad, they clicked on the link. I had my pitch about the film that I wanted to make, about the script. The script was there. They could download it and read it. They could see which part they want to maybe read for, because I was describing each character. So I attracted really good talent, and I think that video had a lot to do with it. I think people saw that and they could see the vision, so they responded. But the biggest question mark for me was going to be, can I get Kelly, the lead female role? Because her range of acting really was going from very fun and upbeat and nice and polite and kind to this dark dominatrix type personality where, all the kindness is gone. It's all about getting what she wants and satisfying her needs. And that range is really big, and everything in between had to really be nailed perfectly. We had the happy bubbly, we had the sad and wounded, we had the planning of revenge, and then we had the execution of the revenge, and everything that goes along that, range of emotions, and we found her.
I met Sal, and at first I was a little skeptical. I was nervous. Number one, because he was believing in me. And I was like, what? What's going on here? Who is this man?
I was on Backstage. I saw a self-tape that Arielle FRAY from Tampa made.
I literally applied to Matched as a joke.
A skit that she wrote about a boyfriend that she would cut his toenails.
And I put up a video of myself doing an audition for another film and just sent it.
And by the end of the video, she's losing it and freaking out, and she cuts his you-know-what off. So I had a really good feeling that Arielle was going to be perfect.
So what attracted me to the role of Kelly and to the film was actually the script. I never in my life got a script and read it all in one sitting. So I immediately was captivated. I thought that it had so much depth.
I fell in love with the script the day that I read it. I had met Sal to shoot a short film for a competition that he was entering. He slapped Matched on my lap and he said, "Hey, I've got a great script here. I think you should definitely read for it."
What really attracted me, first of all, was I loved the aspect of the online dating scare, because I think everybody's been through online dating. I think everybody's had an online dating profile at one point in time in their life, whether it was a joke or whether it was for 5 minutes or 5 years, somebody's had one.
Okay, what attracted me to wanting to be in the film is I have a great relationship, I at least consider it a great relationship, with the director, writer, producer, every hat, 72 hats later, Sal Marotta. I think I wanted to be part of something that he was going to produce. And when Matched came out and he let me read it, I didn't know what role he thought that I might fit, but I definitely wanted to be part of it.
What attracted me about being the gay guy in this movie, Matched, was to see if I could convince people that I could be a different person. And learning how to become an actor, you have to do that.
What attracted me to the film Matched is the, I guess, horror element of it. I never have been a part of a thriller.
One thing that brought me in on this project was the script. It was very well written. Character development was very interesting. The plot was there. Strategic comedy was added in. Just really had everything.
You know, it's funny. You don't know who you're in the room with sometimes. And Natalia CRUZ was, she wanted to play the role of Jessica.
And I couldn't make it for the deadline. So then when I called Salvatore, I'm sorry, I missed the deadline because I was out of town. Is it possible that can I audition today? That I can send you my self-tape audition?
But she was away on another project, and she came in for the table read to do a couple of lines for the bartender.
And he said, oh, I'm so sorry, the role is taken. But you know what? We have a meeting today. We're gonna meet each other, and maybe you can come and you can do some, I don't know, background actor. Or I was like, yeah, why not?
As soon as I heard her voice, I mean, first of all, she walked in, she's stunning, she's beautiful, all of that, but a lot of women are stunning and beautiful. That's not going to make a great actress, but she definitely has presence. But as soon as she spoke in the table read, as soon as she spoke, Olga and I looked at each other from across the room, and we were like, yeah.
And at the beginning, I thought I was going to do really a background actress. I was supposed to be the dream girl of Dylan, and no lines at all. He told me, there's no lines. And I was like, it's okay. I'll go for it. But then when I met Salvatore, I don't know, maybe he saw something in me, or he liked the way I talk, or I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, he told me, you know what, maybe you can have a few lines.
So we wrote in a bigger part for her, and she became Dylan's love interest.
And then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have lines.
Halfway through the film, come to find out, she's a 3-time Emmy Award-winning anchor woman for journalism. She was a journalist on TV, 20 years, has the most experience out of all of us. Natalia CRUZ, on my set, acting. Who would have ever figured?
He came to me and he said, you know what, I think I want more than a few lines. I'm gonna construct this character for you. Tell me what name you want for this character. And all of a sudden I said, Vanessa. So I had the opportunity to name my character, my role. And then he just started to change a few things here and there and construct the character and put in lines for me that I was supposed to be just a background actress. And I was gonna take the opportunity with a lot of joy. And then there was this great surprise for me. So I'm very, very, very grateful and happy.
Before I started this production, I had been watching Ron Howard's masterclass for about 6 months on a loop every night. Ron Howard, he's great. It just feels like he's talking to you. It feels like you're having a conversation, although he's doing all the talking and you're learning. It's really instruction, but he says that it's important that if you have an actor who really believes in something that they're doing, and they really want to express an idea or a different way, and it doesn't hurt the story, let them do it their way. Film it that way. He says you have the script on the page, you have that, you have your plan, you know what you're gonna do, you can always go back to that. But if you have an actor who's really passionate about their character and they want to say a line a different way or maybe approach the scene a different way, he says let them. And I took that advice to heart. And I have to say that was probably the biggest production lesson that I learned was your actors, especially if they're talented, and I have some talented actors in this film, let them express themselves. Let them make changes. Let them explore. As long as it doesn't hurt the continuity of the film, as long as it doesn't hurt the story, do it. You're going to be surprised with just what the results are. And he was right. And I was surprised over and over and over again every time these guys and gals want to do something different. And as a director, you have the last say. So if you don't want it in the film, it's not in the film. And if you want to reshoot it the way you're shooting it on script, that's fine. I mean, obviously time constraints and all that play a part. That's without saying. Anybody who's made films knows that you have a clock you have to honor. However, the most important thing is that you're able to give the actors the space to become those characters. And I think allowing them to become those people that you have on the page is most important.
My scene with Jules, where I walk into the office and I'm bringing her a cup of coffee, I did have some lines, but I thought the improvisation that I would go with was being the sarcastic character that Sal wanted me to portray, and you know, he directed me on that last couple last couple of words I said about it's not big enough. It gave me the power to know if I was talking to a friend and how I could be comical with that. He gave me that lead into. He's like, well, try to sell it, and I really did. I tried to get my mindset as a gay guy trying to cop a little attitude with their boss.
Working with a first-time director, and I hate saying that term because I think it's you know, I think when you're saying somebody's aspiring, it's sort of like, you know, you're not giving them their due credit of already being that thing. But working with Sal is probably the most organic experience. He isn't that kind of guy where you're not allowed to make your own choices, where you stick to the script, and if it's not on the page, it's not on the screen, kind of a deal.
Yeah. So the jogging scene, the bang and denies, yeah, as it's been known. Sal's really great in that he allows us to kind of embody the characters how we see fit. So he really likes to look at his dialogue as sort of general guidelines without straying off the beaten path too much.
So Sean and Alec CENTENO, their improv electric chemistry on set was like nothing I'd ever experienced. So one of the funniest scenes that we shot together was in the office when Sal and I were shooting the scene with Dylan, well, Alec and Sean. It's the scene where Alec is trying to convince Sean, or rather Kyle's trying to convince Dylan that he should go after Vanessa and make some type of sexual advance toward her. So my son and I, we're behind the camera, we're filming Alec, and he's playing the role of Kyle, and all of a sudden it just unravels.
They weren't even lines. It was just...
the whole script just, that was it.
Yeah, it was all improv, but I just remember we're standing behind the camera and we're trying not to laugh because we don't want to make any noise, you know, they're mic'd up, and we're behind the camera, we're like
giggling, trying not to talk into the microphone, and everybody's outside in the other room, and all of a sudden Alec just gets up and starts slamming the table, bang, 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 talking about smacking Vanessa on her ass. It was just out of control, but it was one of the best scenes.
Well, life has now come full circle, and it is time for you to have that Latin baby sit on your face. Alright, dude, enough about Vanessa, okay, please. It's never gonna happen. She doesn't see me that way, and besides, she's like 10 years older than me. Are you kidding me? Have you not seen the way this woman looks at you? Oh, Poppy. Oh, Dylan. And dude, I'd be like, bang, 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 slapping the ass of that Latin MILF. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. Dylan.
These two guys, their chemistry was just electric, and it was one of the most satisfying things that I got to experience as a filmmaker.
You know, being with someone who's so malleable and so flexible with you and allowing you to make decisions and being bold, and even if it means going off script or completely improvising the whole thing and not necessarily, you know, striking you down. I mean, obviously keeping you in a lane of like, all right, this is where we're going, this is where the scene is headed, and this is the story.
He really allows his actors to play. And I think when you have two personalities like myself and like Alec, it's very, very easy to do that because we feed off of each other.
I think that having somebody who understands an actor and allows you to be your true artist self is something that's incomparable and is invaluable to me. So yeah, I think working with him was probably one of the funnest things. When
you have somebody that's quick on their feet like Alec, it's easy to get those kind of reactions from each other just because we naturally are just entertainers. We want to brighten up the room, and I think both of us are pretty good at improv, so it makes it a lot easier to work with somebody like Alec, and especially with a director like Sal who gives you the freedom to make those decisions.
I would never in my life assume or even know that this was Sal's first movie. His direction is on par with people that have been doing this for 25 plus years.
First-time director, which I didn't know at the time, but and it didn't seem that way because he does a great job. And it was he really promoted like a collaborative effort with the actors. If the actors felt they needed to take another take or whatever, he was very willing to work with them to get, because he knew that both of us want the best out of the movie. So it was great working with him. He was really good with the cast, and I hope to work with him again.
Working on the set of Match with Sal, being a first-time director, honestly, it didn't really feel like that a lot of the time. Sal's really great with time management. He's great with making sure everyone's head's on straight. I've been on a lot of amateur sets. I can tell you that his problem-solving ability is unlike any other first director I've ever worked with.
That moment, Salvatore said, you know what? It's not on the script, but just feel it and just improvise, whatever you guys feel like it. And then Dylan and me, Salvatore, we all created lines there in the moment. And it was just so natural. I felt it in a way that I think it's a scene that makes a difference in my story within Match.
Dylan, I'm your friend, and I love you. You need to understand something. Real people is not here in an app.
I know I wasn't completely honest when I posted pictures of that other woman.
It's in here, in your heart. I know, it might sound corny, but it's not, it's true.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Thank you.
Of course.
The fight scene was crazy. One of the reasons why I casted Brian Long was because he was so big. I needed somebody bigger than Sean, and Sean's 6'1", I think. I think Brian's 6'2" or 6'3", two very tall men. And I needed Brian, the character of Jack, to kind of dominate Sean, Dylan. So at close to the end of the film, there's this fight. A fight breaks out in the office.
Yeah, so in the film, there's a fight scene. And originally, when I did the audition, I did it a certain way. And Sal said, no, the building's burning down. And then, this is the guy who started the fire, and it really got me riled up. And I kind of brought that. During the audition, I almost killed Sal.
I wanted to get a shot of Brian's face, like right here, screaming into the camera. So I'm behind the camera, I'm shooting, and I told Brian, I said, I held my arms out, shake my arms and really get into it. Oh my God, I thought he was gonna shake my arms off my body.
He really got me going. But I kind of brought that energy to the shoot that day.
And he's such a gentle guy, but the strength and the force and how he got into this character, the anger that came out of him was just incredible. I mean, he fell down, he almost hurt himself. The guys were just rumbling. I mean, it was unbelievable.
It was a fun scene, but we all really got into it. We did it a few times. I kind of had to get into it. You'll see the part I'm talking about. And it was a lot of fun, a lot of energy. I mean, after a scene like that, you have to kind of calm yourself down for 15 minutes because it's so in you.
Where? I had nothing
Jack,
to do with
fucking
Jack,
you're going down, man.
Jack.
You know what you
Jack.
did. You know what you did. You're lucky if you're gonna end up in jail, son. Your father's rolling over in his fucking grave.
Don't you dare talk about my father.
In
You
front
hear
of
me,
your
Jack?
father, 'cause
I will
you're
fucking
out.
kill you.
Get
I'll
him
fucking
out of
kill
here.
you, Jack. Fuck you.
Get him out.
Fuck you, Jack.
Oh, my funniest Match story. Okay, so it's the last day of shooting, and we have to do the end of the film. It just so happens that the last scene was the last thing we shot, and we had space all ready to go, and at the last minute, the space got canceled.
We're pulling up to the shoot, to the location. We have all the gear loaded, all the crew members, all the casts. We're all driving there. We start unloading the gear, and the owner of the building comes out and is like, we can't do it here. I'm so sorry, can't do it.
I remember it was our last day filming, and we lost our location.
We lose our location the day of.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm on my way to set. Where am I supposed to go?
Everyone's frantically going around. Our call time is about to come up, and we still don't know where we're shooting.
Thank God for KANE SCHIRMER.
He's one of those guys that's just well-connected, knows everybody in the area, makes one phone call, finds a new location for us on a whim.
He saw the forest before the trees, asked a buddy of his, thank you, the guys over at Sunbelt. It's a sanitation company that had trucks and air compressors, and it was really rustic and dirty, and it had this really great vibe and feel. It was actually a huge upgrade from the original location that we thought we were gonna shoot in.
The look of the warehouse at the Sunbelt was way better than we thought it was gonna be.
But we thought the movie was killed. It was done. Arielle, she lived in Tampa, which is a 4-hour drive from us down in Boca. It was her last day she could shoot, her last day of availability, but KANE came through and got us the location.
The unfortunate thing about our backup location was there was no air condition. It was dirty. It was in this just warehouse that was hot.
So we get to the location, it's late, it's hot, it's dusty, it's dirty.
I remember it was so hot in the warehouse. It was so hot. I just remember at one point, like, even the cameras were having trouble. Like, the hard drives in the back of the cameras were getting so hot. And I put them in the freezer in this one little room in the warehouse, the only room with AC in the whole warehouse.
Incredibly hot. I mean, the air is thick enough to cut with a knife. It was arguably the longest shoot day we had.
And I'm in this latex suit with gloves and boots, and Sean's in a suit.
Tied up to a chair, gag in my mouth, the heat. I'm already wearing like half of a suit.
But everybody's so professional, they pull it together and we start shooting.
And we are sweating. And I remember being in, like, I felt like I was being tortured.
And it comes time to do a stunt. So I didn't realize that when I wanted Arielle and Sean to fall backwards in a chair, that it would be dangerous enough to need someone to coordinate this and figure out how they're gonna land so they don't crack their heads. Thank you again, KANE. He had that all worked out in his mind. He found some pads and styrofoam and some makeshift stuff that was lying around the warehouse, made a pad. And as he's bending down to set this up, boom, his pants blow out.
KANE, great guy, ends up ripping his pants on set. And he decided that day, for some reason, not to wear any underwear.
And from the crack of his ass all the way down, his pants explode, and there's like this 1-foot hole, and he's not wearing underwear.
For the remainder of the night, and this happened early too, don't get me wrong, this happened at like 8. We were there till like 5. This happened earlier in the night. For the whole rest of the night, he's walking around weird with his hands, and he just can't bend over.
So poor KANE had to manage figuring out how to keep it from hanging out and cover that gap. And like a champ, he figured it out. I don't know if he taped it or what he did. And he finished the shoot.
We didn't wrap till about 5 a.m. and by then I had been at my wits' end. I'm a pretty patient guy, and I do like to toot my horn about that. I'm a pretty patient guy, and it was incredibly challenging. Arielle is, I have to say, after going through that entire day, she was in better spirits than I was.
We were there all night filming that scene, blood all over the place, blood all over me, all over Sean, and I would do it all over again. I don't even care how hot that scene was, how much torture it felt like. Just being on set and being with this group, I would do anything that I had to do in this movie all over again.
How did I feel about the final cut of the film? I think the film came out to be unbelievable. You know, you have a friend, right? And they have a great idea, but you don't know how far they're willing to go. You don't know if they're willing to go the distance. And it's such a commitment. And it's such a long haul, a year and a half, 2 years to make something come to fruition. And to see that Sal was willing to put in the time, the effort, the talent, the exhausting of himself, and all of those things to make this dream come true. But not only for himself, but for his son, for all of us, for all the people that were involved. He stepped up to the plate for everybody, and he kept his word, he kept his promise, and most importantly, he kept it to himself, and I'm super proud of him.
The final cut, I was incredibly proud to see it, especially when you consider that this was just an idea. We were very optimistic would actually happen, but to see it happen is something else. I mean, you can plan for something, but you can never plan for how you feel about it. You know, I'm a very, very big critic of myself. You know, nobody beats me up more than me. And I think for you, Sal, to make me proud of my work is already something that's so incredible. It's more than what most directors have been able to do for me. Sitting there in that theater, standing up, to get an ovation in a sold-out crowd in a real movie theater that took place around where I grew up. You know, to see myself on that screen was a surreal experience, and it just is. You know, I'm eternally grateful. Even seeing the final cut is just the thing that comes to mind is gratitude and pride. I'm incredibly proud, and I'm very grateful, and I never take it for granted. And I hope there's many more opportunities to come.
I think the final cut of the film came together great. You know, not seeing the whole thing until it was completed was important, because seeing all the pieces being filmed, but then seeing them put together and how they matched what he was looking for and the different angles he took, and you understand a little bit more about filmmaking, and seeing how it all came together was pretty impressive.
Are you serious? How do I feel about the final cut of the film? Are you out of your mind? That's like asking me how do I feel about my firstborn child. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I think it's great. Being a part of the process of watching that whole thing get put together, of being like, you know, you're in front of the camera, you're not caring so much so about how or where the camera is or what the shot necessarily is looking like while you're doing it. You know, you're in that scene, you're in that moment, so you're not thinking of, oh, there's a camera over there, oh, there's a camera over there, there's one from behind this guy or behind your shoulder or whatever. So I was just very impressed with what Sal was able to do by himself, basically. You know, editing the film by himself, handling the redubbing of lines if necessary, and which was necessary. And I'm very satisfied with it. I think it's fantastic.
Looking at the final cut as an actor, I'm very grateful to be a part of such an amazing production.
The final cut was great. I mean, we had a premiere and we saw the final cut, and you know, as you're doing the film, you're just doing bits and pieces, and you don't see how the whole thing's going to come together, and you hope it's going to come together in a grand fashion, you know, and then actually watching the final take, it was better than I imagined it would be, and it was excellent, as you'll see.
So just being there in the theater for the first time when we had our private screening and see everything coming together, it was a satisfying feeling, and see that I was part of this great project with these amazing actors. For example, Arielle, I'm really proud of her, all her work, and she won an award as Best Actress in one of the great festivals.
I just give Sal like I just want to give him the biggest round of applause like all the time, because he did this, like, first film, wrote it, directed it, produced it, edited it, like all himself. And to me, that is just amazing. And to be a part of a film with somebody that trusted me enough to be the lead and has developed this incredible film. Like, I am for once proud to be in a feature film, and I want to share this with the world. And that's not something I say about all of my films. But this is something that I've never been more proud to be a part of something. I've never been more proud of a director and more in awe of a director than I have been of Sal.